And Kay, is the mayor here?
Not yet, unless he's with Scott. So let me check.
Okay.
Here, huh?
Okay, I just wanted to know if I needed to start at 7:30.
It's not here. You will.
Okay.
I'll watch for him and let you know. Okay, Linda, I'm starting and the mayor isn't here yet.
Okay, well, at 7:30, I'm sure the mayor will be joining us very soon. With that, can we go ahead and begin the work session for Monday, February 8th? I don't think we need a roll call, but we'll just turn it over to the first presenter.
Morning, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. So this morning we have two presentations with some great projects that are looking to develop here in Des Moines. And so we have our economic development staff available here to present, and the actual project leaders, I believe, are on too as I look through the list here. So I'm going to quickly hand it over to Aaron, our Development Service Director, and Naomi from our Economic Development Division.
Good morning, all. Aaron, did you want to say any introductory comments, or should I just jump in?
Go ahead and dive in, Naomi.
Okay. Kay, are you ready for me to share my screen?
Go ahead.
Okay. Can everybody see that?
No, I don't see anything on my screen. This is Westergaard.
Okay, let's try again.
Oh.
Was that a yes?
That's a yes now. Thank you.
Can everybody? Okay. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for getting up so early, especially after Super Bowl. Program, the Iowa Reinvestment Act, and two projects that will be applying for the program, Merle Mall campus and the Capital City District. We have the development teams for both projects with us here this morning. Liz Holland is with Abell Associates out of Chicago. The company is the owner of Merle Mall. And Michael Devlin is with Orchard View Sports and Entertainment. His company is the owner of the Bucks. Liz and Michael, would you like to say hello to the group?
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Yes.
All right. Both audios are working. That is good. Also with us is the Kraus team. We have Danny Hagan. He's been the person I've been dealing with the most, as well as Kyle Kroos and Jerry Haberman. I know Danny's here. Danny, you want to make sure your audio is working?
Good morning, and I believe Kyle's here as well.
Okay, good. Kyle, is your audio working? All right, we may be relying on you for questions, Danny.
Okay.
All right,
Sounds
thanks
good.
for being here. Okay, we'll start with an overview of the IRA program, the Iowa Reinvestment Act program, then an overview of the 2 pre-applications within Des Moines, and then finally a discussion of the preliminary terms that will be supporting the Iowa Capital City District, Reimagining a Superfund site. This part quickly, this is a background of the IRA program. I know that some of the council is familiar with it from previous years. The Iowa Reinvestment Act was approved in 2013. It was designed to assist communities in developing a unique transformative project in their community, and then also to benefit the region and the state. Des Moines was able to use this program in 2015 for the Iowa Event Center Hotel. Des Moines was awarded $36 million for that. And a community does have to be, at that time, had to be the applicant. The program is administered through the Iowa Economic Development Authority, IEDA, and allows for new state hotel and motel and sales tax revenues within a defined district to be captured and then redistributed back to the community over a period of 20 years, kind of like a statewide TIF. The legislation was amended in 2020. Besides allowing for an additional funding allocation, the legislation also allowed for a 28E entity to apply for the program in addition to a community. Before that, only a community could be the applicant. This allowed for Merle Mall, which is in both Des Moines and Urbandale, to be the subject of an application from a 28E entity. And as you may recall, the council took action on January 11th to form this 28E entity. The program is capped at $100 million. The money is designated for a transformative project. And a project is defined as a vertical improvement constructed or substantially approved, and has to be at least $10 million. Just a quick slide on the qualifications. In 2013, the district size was limited to 25 acres. The 2020 amendments allowed this to increase to 75 acres. The main project, at least one of the projects, that unique transformative project, has to be at least $10 million. The district must be in an urban renewal area. In the case of the Merle application, it's the Merle urban renewal area. In the case of the Capital City pre-application, it's in the Metro Center urban renewal area. New retail establishments cannot exceed 50% of the total proposed capital investment. There is a limit on the IRA request of 35%. So with simple numbers, if the overall capital investment of all proposed projects were 100 million, then the most a community could request through the IRA program would be $35 million. And then no gambling facilities or hotels attached to gambling facilities are allowed. Quick slide on the scoring. IEDA will be handling the scoring. You can see here that uniqueness and economic impact are the most important. At 50 points, they take up half of the points. And then there's project feasibility, capital investment, funding leverage, and non-retail focus, all at 10 points each. And then additional factors is 10 points. Those additional factors are readiness for development, geographic diversity, and funding need. Process timeline. The application window is 4 days long and starts on February 22nd, which is 2 weeks from now. IEDA will be handling the scoring. Provisional approval is expected in spring. We don't know the exact date. The final application is due within 1 year. Both development teams have indicated that they will submit the final app much sooner than that. The application may and probably will change between pre-application and final application. IEDA may have comments that need addressed. More details about projects may be known as design continues, etc. So we are at the very beginning with this pre-application. We expect that things will change by the time we get to final application. Upon final IEDA approval, the IRA district can be completed either by ordinance for the city or by resolution by a 28E board. Okay, a quick review of the Merle Hay Campus Reinvestment District. Before I jump into this, I just want to give a really brief description of the pre-application. As part of the consideration proposed for the council meeting tonight, each project has prepared a draft pre-application. As I said, a few things will change probably between now and 2 weeks when it will be submitted. Additional editing, a few other, just edits might happen. But the overall substantive material has been determined. And then, of course, things will change between pre-application and final application. The pre-application is divided into 5 sections, A through E. A talks about the project eligibility, those things from the qualification slide. B talks about the district plan, the actual projects that are proposed. So this will be the focus of the rest of the presentation. C is economic impact. Both projects are working on a third-party economic and feasibility study. This isn't required at the pre-app step. However, it is required at the final application. Both teams decided to go forward with the economic impact study though. At this point, each of the pre-apps have a summary of that study, but we will have the entire study completed by time of application. D is the unique in nature section. Additional narrative it's in support of the projects listed in section P and B. Like, how is this plan different? How will it contribute to making Iowa special is the focus. And then E is certification and release of info. That's where the council's potential action tonight would be reflected in the application. So, onto Merle Hay. The blue line is showing the boundary of the proposed IRA district, and this line here is the jurisdiction line between Des Moines and Urbandale. As we know, the mall is located in 2 cities. Size of the district is 74.6 acres, so under that 75. The goal of the district is to reinvent and reinvigorate the mall after 2 anchors, that would be Yonkers and Sears, closed in 2018, and to provide a new home for the Des Moines Buccaneers. Polk County loaned money to the mall ownership for the acquisition of the 2 parcels to make sure the property stayed in friendly hands. So we do have cooperation from Polk County. Sears was just recently purchased in November, which has made a lot of this a little easier to go forward with now that we know that both properties are owned by a Bell. The city of Des Moines has existing development agreements for TIF funds on the property. Since 2011, about $4 million has been paid. An additional $4 million is expected to be paid out through 2032. Merle Hay Mall Master Plan. The most recent development agreement was approved in March of 2019. At that time, we didn't know if or when Sears would be acquired and how the site might be redeveloped should the Sears property be acquired. And so we required that a master plan be created once Sears was acquired. So as I mentioned, it was recently acquired. So we have this master team and the Urban Design Review Board, as well as the City of Urbandale. But here is a depiction of uses. You can see here the Des Moines Buccaneer Ice Arena and Training Center is shown here. The Yonkers building, which is here, will have the roof raised, and that building will be reused. And 2 ice arenas will go here. And the Kohl's device will go here, and then your hotel goes with that. You'll see over here an anchor tenant. Kohl's is proposed to come over here at 55,000 square feet. The development agreement does require 75,000 square feet on the Sears site. So the mall ownership are proposing an additional 80,000 square feet. So this is the big change that we will see on the Des Moines side. Here is the projects map. As I mentioned, section B is the meat of the pre-application with the depiction of the district plan and the various proposed projects. So hence the naming convention you see here with B1, B2, that's just part of that section B. So I'll go through these relatively quickly. If you have questions, we can handle those in the questionnaire section. So B1 is the Arena and Training Center, the red piece right here. So this is where Yonkers is and then Kohl's right now. B2 is the Mall Campus Hotel right here. B9, Lillis Lofts. This is a residential project done by TWG out of Indianapolis. B10 is this outdoor plaza. This is that southern entrance into the arena. The idea is a little pre and post gathering space as a new potential bus stop. On the Des Moines side, we have the Coles under review right now. B5 is that new business area. We are requiring 20,000. The mall ownership wants to do about 80,000. B7 is the outdoor area. That's right here. Between the existing mall and the proposed Coles, there's going to be some open space. Drake Head Start is located in the northern part of the mall, so they will be using that for their outdoor play area. And then the public will have access to some of that area as well. B8 is this purple piece right here. There is an existing office tower there. The idea is that it will be converted to senior residential uses, which is kind of a nice idea as seniors, during inclement weather or at any time can walk to Target for grocery shopping, pharmacy needs, go to the movies, etc. So it's a nice idea. B11 is new mall retail development. You can see all of the blue. The expectation is that once the Buccaneers Arena is built and many of the tournaments that are planned come, that there will be very much additional traffic. So we're expecting that the existing businesses will be retained and more businesses will be attracted. B12, you can kind of see on the aerial here, this is the existing entrance into the mall area, which is a curved piece, which is curved. The proposed ring road will be straight and allow some room for an additional out parcel that can be developed. And then site-wide projects, B3 is campus site-wide improvements. So I mentioned the ring road is going to be changed. That's one piece of that. Additional landscaping improvements, signage. There's a buffer wall over here on the west that's going to be looked at and potentially improved. And then B6, small corridor improvements. That's the green area through here. Proposed improvements to the interior would include additional seating areas, new flooring, directory signage, etc. And then here's the project slides. We've got detail on some of these projects that I'll go through. 3,500 seat multi-use arena with 3 additional sheets of ice for competition, training, and recreation. As I said, the Buccaneer ownership does expect to have lots of tournaments through here. Yonkers roof will be raised and the building reused. I have 3 locker rooms listed here. There's actually going to be 8, Michael Devlin tells me. There'll be 2 prominent locker rooms, one for the Buccaneers and then a second for another potential main tenant, 2 large home team locker rooms, 3 visitor locker rooms, and then 1 locker room for game officials. This will be very helpful for tournament times. These locker rooms can also function as green rooms for concerts and events. Construction expected to be complete December of 23 at $47.4 million. Coles. This is on the Des Moines side. This is the biggest change that we're going to see on our side is the Sears redevelopment. 55,000 square feet, hoping to open spring of 22 at $10.3 million. Senior housing conversion. I think a lot of people forget that this tower is here. So I added a couple pictures. You can definitely see it from higher up. And then this yellow piece over here, and then the external shot. It is 46,000 square feet, 6 stories. The idea is it could be open by winter of 2024 at a cost of $12 million. And a quick financial slide. Sources and uses for the main project, the Arena and Training Center, equal $47.4 million. I've split out the hard costs and the soft costs. And regarding the sources, we've got debt and equity from Orchard View, City of Urbandale TIF, and then the IRA bridge loan. You'll see I have an asterisk here as well. Right now, we've listed this as $23.8 million. However, the ask is going to be about $30 million. The idea is that once the City of Urbandale bonds for that amount, the actual clear amount will be $23.8 million. Just a reminder, the City of Des Moines has no financial obligation to the project. The existing development agreements with Merle Mall, the ones I spoke about earlier, will address the proposed changes that are shown in the district plan. So with that, any questions on the Merle Hay Campus Reinvestment District?
Bill?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I've been involved with this for, seems like 3 to 4 years, but this has generated a lot of excitement in the northwest side of the city. In fact, I drove past last night and I saw the fencing was up and the corral demolition sign is already up. So we're looking to see Sears coming down in a short amount of time. But this is really going to invigorate that entire district, and glad to be a part of it.
Thanks, Bill. Naomi, I don't see anybody else at the moment.
Okay. I will continue on to the Capital City Reinvestment District, Reimagining a Superfund site. Here's the map of the IRA district map. Just wanted to touch on a few things about the location, including the Western Gateway. We have the Crescent Chevrolet and the Butler Building as adaptive reuse projects up here, as well as new construction. Superfund site, we have the Dyko site here, which is good to see that being able to be redeveloped. Tuttle Street redevelopment along here. And then there are 2 projects within Gray's Landing that are included in this IRA district. As far as goals, redeveloping a Superfund site. Again, we're just thrilled that we have a partner to clear this up. Reinventing a major gateway of the city and master planning this area south of MLK. We've had 2 holdouts, these 2 properties right here. The 2 developers that are active in this area have both tried to buy this and have not been able to do that, but Kraus has recently purchased both of these. So with that, we've got 3 developers south of MLK that own the property, and they're all working on master planning efforts, which is something the city has been wanting to see. Just go through these district projects really quickly here. 9 main projects in this area: the stadium at 75 million, Global Plaza 8.7, the Stadium Hotel to the south here at 32 million, a Come and Go, a convenience store at 7.5 million, an entertainment venue here along Tuttle Street for 23 million, Western Gateway Brewery up here at 12.2 million. This is in that Crescent Chevrolet building. Western Gateway Hotel, 27.5 million. This would be a new build. Gray's Landing Grocery here, this would be part of a mixed use project. And then Sherman Hotel over here at 16.2. So the main project investment in these 9 main projects is $209.1 million. So those 9 projects are very well defined. Tenants have been identified. There are many other projects as well. We're calling these the tier 2 projects, 14 of these projects. The idea is that they will be able to benefit from the development that had occurred before them, but tenants aren't necessarily defined yet. So you can see we've got a series of mixed use retail buildings, as well as some plain retail buildings, and then a mixture of office and retail as well. So all of these projects equal $67.6 million. When you add that with the previous 9 projects, that equals $276.7 million. You'll notice I have an asterisk. This total does not include residential and office projects. Since office and residential don't produce that hotel motel tax or that sales tax, Cross decided not to include that in their numbers. If those were included, the investment would be about $540 million. Quick master plan. I always like these with all the color on them. Just want to go through a couple things here. The projects that we're talking about, the 9 projects, are A, B, C, F, the hotel, J, this entertainment center. I also wanted to show O and P. You see I've got these highlighted. Those are located right here, not part of the IRA district, but they are part of the development agreement map. But just wanted to have you see how these flow in with the larger master plan. Also wanted to point out that these 3 practice fields are not part of the IRA district boundary. You may have noticed it kind of comes straight across here. Again, they aren't tax revenue generating, so they weren't included in the district. Again, I'll go through these projects relatively quickly. The B, that section B in the application. We have the former DICO site, 6,300 seat multi-use arena with those 3 practice fields. This will be non-taxable. It's going to be owned by a nonprofit organization. It will be home to a soccer team as well as many other community events. Construction is expected in spring of 24. You may recall March of 23 had been the goal. That's been pushed back to March of 24 and a cost of about $75 million. The Global Plaza, again, we're on the former DICO site, pre and post gathering space. So this is all around the stadium. This side here along Southwest 16th Street is the most activated. And then here's kind of another look at that, how the space will be used. Restaurants and retail will be included here that can be used every day, not just on special event days. Again, spring 24 is that expected date, cost of $8.75 million. Hotel, this is again on the former DICO site. You can see the location here just south of the stadium. Expected completion date of December of 23, so before the stadium, and then $32 million is the expected investment. Convenience store, come and go. This is MLK right here in Southwest 16th Street, 5,600 square feet. There are going to be about 3,000 residential units to the south. So the idea is that pedestrians and bicyclists will be able to access this site as well as vehicles. $7.6 million is expected investment. And again, this will be hopefully open before the stadium, January of 23. Entertainment venue. This is along Tuttle Street. Here's Tuttle. This used to be owned by Sherman property or Sherman and Associates. Sherman sold this property to Kraus last year, the year before. For this area, oh, and you can see here, it's right here too on this map. 2,000 seat all-purpose indoor-outdoor music and event venue, as well as outdoor space, 56,000 square foot amphitheater. Construction expected to be completed January of 23, $23 million. Here is the master plan for the Western Gateway. You can kind of see how all of this fits together. We've got High Street here, Ingersoll, Grand, 15th Street, 16th Street, kind of at an angle, and then 17th Street. Just to help orient you, this is the Sculpture Park. This is Kraus Gateway Center. 2 main projects here. The Western Gateway Hotel is shown as A right here. This will be a new build, $27.6 million. And then the Western Gateway Brewery. This is the Crescent Chevrolet building, $12.2 million investment. Looked at this one. Here is a quick picture of the Western Gateway Brewery, the existing building and the proposed rendering here. Adaptive reuse. There will be 9,000 square feet of office space within the building, but the rest of it will be this large scale destination brewery, beer hall, kitchen, beer garden, patio, etc. This is expected to be completed in March of 22. It is an existing building, so this one can go a little faster at an investment of $12.2 million. The hotel, this is the current building on site right now, and this is the proposed rendering, 125 room hotel. There's no hotel right in this spot. It's going to be the closest hotel to Unity Point, Wellmark, Meredith, and Kraus Group. Construction expected to be complete by January of 2026. COVID-19 is going to have a lot to do with the hotel and how fast that jumps back. An investment of $27.6 million. And the Gray's Landing master plan, just a real quick look at this and see how this fits in. The Gray's Landing grocery will be in this mixed use building here, and the hotel is here. Want to point out that Holiday Inn Express is located here, also owned by Sherman and Associates. So the idea is that there can be some synergies here. The grocery store, 26,300 square feet within a mixed use building. As I mentioned, there's 3,000 residential units to the south. Construction expected to be complete in 23 at a cost of $7 million. And the Sherman Hotel, again, I think COVID will have some bearing on when this opens. The idea is 2026, 98 rooms, at an investment of $16.2 million. In those tier 2 projects that I mentioned before, we've got 14 mixed use projects throughout. As far as total numbers, 263,000 square feet of retail, residential, and office. As I said, these will capitalize on the development that came before it. 2036 is the expected timeline for these to be constructed at $67.6 million in tax generating projects, and then $240 million total. And here's that financial slide. Sources and uses for the potentially funded IRA project. The hard costs are listed here at 60 million, soft costs at about 15 for a total cost of 75 million. On the other side, we've got giving, either philanthropic or corporate and private giving at about 20 million, construction loan at 22, a TIF bridge loan at 9 million, which I'll talk about in a future slide. The IRA bridge loan of 18.75, and you can see I've got the asterisk again. The ask will actually be 27.1 million, which is 10% of total project costs under that required 35. And then an expectation of $5 million in federal grants to equal that 75 million. Any questions about that? I know I went through that fast. I just wanted to make sure there was time for questions.
Anybody? Carl.
Yes, thank you. So in this area, in this slide right here, is this what you're envisioning as area for other festival space or something along that line for some of our ethnic heritage weekend events? Is that how you envision this?
This is
Danny.
Kyle. Can you guys hear me yet?
Yep, go Kyle.
Sure, Danny, go ahead.
Yes, we got you.
You can hear me?
Nope. Yep, we got you, Kyle.
Fantastic. Hey, Carl, great question. Danny's smarter than me, but I'll talk anyway. Yes, this is the idea that we would have other ethnic downtown events that may be on the streets of downtown today have an opportunity to be in this location. So we're excited about that. I know some of the other businesses downtown are excited, but yeah, we want to activate this as much as we can.
So this would be set up so that some of the tents that are on the street would be in this area, and electrical hookups for food vendors that need power for their venues would be part of this too?
Exactly, Carl. We would develop it that it would have an opportunity to be easily used for that, for other type of outdoor events, ethnic festivals like you mentioned.
And Kyle, related to this, could you share again for all the level of soccer play that would be part of this Pro Iowa franchise?
Carl, my pleasure. Yes, presently, we have the Des Moines Menace, which is a 4th division, if you think of it in that simple sense. As we move into the stadium, we would purchase what's called a USL Championship franchise, which is 2nd division, which would be the level below the Major League Soccer, the top division in America. So 2nd division team. A couple positives about that. Every game is on ESPN, so it's nationally shown, all of our games home and away. So you get an opportunity to show off Des Moines, Central Iowa, and the state of Iowa that way. And also kind of unique to some of the other franchises, we will own all of our players. We have an opportunity to compete, including with the MLS, for players. So it's kind of a unique opportunity from that standpoint. But yes, high-level soccer, and a opportunity to be on the ESPN platform for all games.
Okay, thank you, Kyle.
Pleasure.
All right, anybody? Connie.
I know I'd asked the question before about, I know there's 3 extra soccer fields. What opportunity would other groups be able to use those if you're not using them?
Great question, Connie. I think as we work with the city on the site plan here, take it from master to utilization, those opportunities certainly will exist. I mean, there's going to be frank, at least one of the fields is probably completely dedicated to what you'd call the first team. That is the primary place to train, because you're not going to train inside the stadium. The other ones, to be frank, we'd like them to be used as often as possible. So that's still to be determined, but we want the site activated in as many ways as we can, similar to Carl's question, but there's not a specific plan on how those get used. And again, working with the city to take it from master site plan to actual realization.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. Naomi, turning back to you. Kyle, thanks for jumping in to help answer those questions.
My pleasure. No, the city's been fantastic to work with. So thank you. Thanks to everybody at the city to help us.
All right, I think I have 3 slides left. Wanted to talk a little bit about preliminary terms, how the development agreement proposal on tonight's council agenda helps to support that IRA pre-application. So as I mentioned, the boundary of the development agreement area is a little different than the IRA district boundary. So you see this piece is included and the Sherman piece on the site is included. So it's 66 acres total, 60 acres down here, as well as 6 acres up here on the Western Gateway. It includes those 2 property holdouts that I mentioned right here. 2.1 million square feet of new or renovated development, $550 million investment in all of this area here, which we expect to equal about $330 million in assessed valuation, about a 12 to 15 year build out. And the proposal on tonight's agenda is that 90% of the project generated TIF for 20 years would go to Kraus as a master developer. A couple things on that. The soccer stadium will not be taxed. It will not be generating any taxes since it'll be owned by a nonprofit. However, Kraus as the master developer will be able to decide how to spend the TIF it receives. And in that previous slide, you saw that they've determined that $9 million will go to the stadium, but the city isn't necessarily deciding at all how much will go to the stadium. It is part of how they want to choose to use that TIF. We will be placing a cap on that TIF. We need to understand a little more about the costs of the site. The DICO site is going to be very expensive. We want to make sure that the extraordinary development costs are well understood, but we will be including a cap on that. A little bit more about the development agreement terms. There will be some city-owned property included in this. I listed the DICO site as a city-owned property. I realize it isn't quite yet. However, we did make progress last week with the signing of the consent decree. So 38 acres there, just north of the DICO site up here where C is. There is property owned right north of Wabash Street, and then there's right of way around that. That's about 2.27 acres. There's some right of way along MLK in here. It's excess right of way. Makes sense for that right of way to be combined with adjacent development site. And then Linden Street up in here on the Western Gateway area isn't necessarily needed, and there's right of way around that, and that can also be enveloped into an existing development. So about 40-ish acres for city-owned property that will be either leased or purchased. No tax abatement will be used on the project. It'll be TIF only. Public access to the parking ramp in the stadium area, this is I right here, will be allowed during nights and weekends. The developer will be using Mid-American Commercial New Construction Program, and they are looking at all kinds of other energy efficiency types of ideas. We won't know necessarily for preliminary terms tonight, but by final terms, we will know what those are. Affordable housing will be required. Right now, we've talked about 10% of units at 80% AMI and then 5% at 60% AMI, but we are still discussing. It may be more. And overall, 350 hotel rooms, 300 residential units, 380,000 square feet of retail, 300,000 square feet of office. So a rather large undertaking. So in conclusion, we've got 2 projects, very worthy of the IRA consideration. Merle campus would provide a catalyst for continued redevelopment of the mall as a regional center, as well as an anchor to the adjacent residential neighborhoods on both the Des Moines side and the Urbandale side. And the Capital City Reinvestment District would provide a new regional destination to a site that used to be a Superfund site. So it is quite the reimagining of a Superfund site. So that is the conclusion of my presentation. Any further questions?
Joe?
Thanks, Mayor. Naomi, great presentation. Can you tell us how many projects are going to apply at the state level for this?
We don't know yet. We've heard, here and there a few things. Johnston we've been mostly concerned about the central Iowa ones just from a geographic diversity standpoint.
Yep.
We heard that Johnston may, that West Des Moines may, also Fort Dodge. There was Ames potentially, Davenport, they're doing some sort of downtown project. Newton, they're doing something with the DMAC and Maytag piece there. Dyersville, the whole Field of Dreams idea, maybe is coming in. Fort Dodge, they're doing something with a downtown mall, similar to what Mason City did back in 2015. And then potentially Cedar Rapids, but I don't know what the project is. So we have heard from IEDA. Oh, and then Sioux City is one as well. Ones that they've had questions from people, so they don't know if it will actually evolve into an application. And I know, Liz, maybe you have a little more information because I know you were looking into that too.
Hi, everybody. I don't have any information. I think that Naomi's list was very complete.
How many would the state typically award? Do they do this annually, or I know we had the Event Center Hotel, but how many do they typically award?
Well, they have $100 million. So I'm not exactly sure how they choose. I don't think there's a magic number. I think it really is part of that scoring, which ones are ready to be built, which ones are transformative. And then they have to decide, how they fund those. If they really do give those projects all of what they've asked for, or if they try to award more projects, but at less dollars. I think that's where it becomes kind of difficult for them to weigh all those options. But yeah, we don't know how many they might approve.
So as a city, we're putting in, not for Merle Hay Mall, that's Urbandale's application, or is that a joint application that we're having with Urbandale?
The idea is that Urbandale has taken the lead on that project. They're the ones that are going to be backing that bond. However, in order to do the application, it's a 28E entity. So it will be, the applicant will be the 28E entity, but I think the face of that is Urbandale.
Okay. And then, you were concerned about regionally how many applications were going to be put in, but we're putting 2 in within, 25 miles of each other. Well,
Yes.
What's the odds of us getting both of them?
Yeah, that's the big question. We have been talking about that internally for quite a while, trying to figure out what the best strategy is. And it's just trying to predict what IEDA is going to do, which is virtually impossible. If you have a good idea, Joe, we'd love to hear it.
No, I'm just, I'm concerned, I'd love both projects, but we have an existing infrastructure at Merle Hay that I think we should make sure it doesn't go down by the wayside. And if this is going to help improve it, I just wonder, are we hurting our odds of getting something at either one of these locations, I guess, by putting in the applications for both and us voting on it as far as the 28E today and tonight. And how does that look? I know we're supportive of both, but what does that look towards as the state moves forward?
Joe, this is Scott. I would just add that both of these projects are going to be incredibly competitive against any other project in the state. And so it's hard. It actually was fairly simple to allow both to move forward in the application process. knowing that they would be competitive with any other project. And then it's left up to IED as far as the geographic fairness, if you will, that they may judge them on.
So you
Yeah,
think they score pretty equally, Scott, compared to each other?
No, not to each other. They're very different projects, right? However, they are both incredibly, they're hitting the mark for what the program was developed for at the state. And so we feel very confident that both of the applications should score well with IED.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but they do compete with each other. They're going for the same $100 million. So I'm just wondering how they stack up against each other.
I think IED is going to make that decision, Joe.
All right. Thanks, Mayor.
One other
Josh?
thing. Oh,
Go
I
ahead.
just had one quick comment. One thing that is a little heartening, at least, is that scoring criteria. Geographic diversity used to be its own category, and now it has been included in additional factors, for 10 points amongst other 2 things. So maybe the geographic diversity isn't as important. And when we had a conversation with an IEDA staffer, they were saying that this isn't a rural program, it's a city program. So we're hoping that, of course, IEDA is going to want to see things spread out across the state, but we're hoping that the fact that City of Des Moines is the largest urban area and that these are very good projects and geographic diversity isn't as large of a percentage of that scoring, that we'll have a good chance to get both.
Josh?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to make a couple comments. One, Naomi, thanks for all your work on these 2 projects. One of the things that I don't think was talked about much here because it's kind of taken for granted, but it was a ton of work to get to this point, was everything that's gone on with the DICO site. And a lot of that predates even my time on the council. I mean, it's been an underutilized, hazardous site for decades at this point. And it's been a priority for the city. Just the first step is to get it cleaned up and get the blight and the eyesore removed. And there have been a ton of barriers to accomplishing that. We've finally gotten to the point where we're getting that done. And not only do we just get to remove the eyesore, but we actually have a really dynamic development ready to go immediately as we get this cleaned up. And that in and of itself is pretty phenomenal. But then when you look at what that project is, the opportunity to bring professional soccer at the level that we are bringing it to the Des Moines Metro and to the state, soccer is a universal sport, and it's something that all members of our community are engaged in and will enjoy. So we've got a tremendous fan base built in. It's something that I think will draw folks from across the state because of the level of the sport that we're bringing to Central Iowa. So you take the first part of this project, which we're transforming a Superfund site, which has been a long time coming and incredibly hard to get done. You add the professional soccer, and then you add a third element. The hope for something like that is you could develop a district and transform an area, and that's part of this project too. So we're going to see this area transform and really serve as a bridge between amenities that we have already developed in our community. I mean, this district is essentially going to fill in and connect between the Western Gateway, the Sculpture Park, and Gray's Lake. And it's going to create this dynamic and transformative area So this project is incredible to me that everything has managed to come together and that we're going to see such drastic transformation from these investments in what is a relatively short time period for doing this type of work as a city. I'm incredibly excited about it. It's a testament to the vision of the Krause Group, not just from the soccer side, but the district. And it's a tremendous opportunity for our community. And I'm really impressed with the work that I've seen, the vision and the cohesiveness of this. And I think it's going to be great for Des Moines and the state for the long term. So thanks to everyone who put so much work into this to get us to this point. It's going to be great to get us to the next point and start seeing dirt being moved and projects going into the ground.
Thanks, Josh. Connie, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I actually, Scott kind of talked about what I think both of these projects, to me, I think they are almost statewide projects for what they're going to bring. And they're truly exciting new developments for the metro area. So Liz Holland and her team for re-envisioning a mall and keeping a retail center viable under the conditions of what we have and making it what it could be. And also to Kyle Krause and his team for taking a site, as Josh said, and re-envisioning and making it viable and really connecting all of the western part of downtown Des Moines. So I think they stand on their own. I think they're both strong projects, and I would hope that when they do the scoring, they will see that they're not just a metro Des Moines, but not central Iowa. It's all of Iowa that will be able to participate in both of these venues. So again, Naomi, thank you. It had to be a lot of work, but it had to be exciting work to see what has come forward and the possibilities. So again, thanks.
Yeah, it's been fun working on the projects. You're right, Connie.
I might make one quick comment before we move on. I agree with what everybody has said. Both of these projects are really transformative. I look at up at the northwest side of town. This is a great project to revitalize a center that was a focal point that actually was the kicking off for everything that happened in that side of town that was sort of the heart of and built around for Johnston, for Urbandale, even all the way north up as everything filled in towards Grimes, and then a little south and west into Clive. I mean, this has sort of been a center for a lot of growth and a lot of thought and a lot of development that was spurred by Merle Hay, and to rethink it, bring it into the 21st century, and show people how a really thoughtful redevelopment can again reignite interest in the whole area. I think is really, really exciting, and again, I think stands on its own, and a great combined effort between Urbandale and the city of Des Moines. The downtown project, I think, is really exciting also. You know, there weren't too many years ago, let's say back in the 80s, when some people thought that maybe downtown ought to not look exactly like a downtown, that maybe the way the world was going, that downtown, we ought to level all these areas and recreate, you know, sort of a suburban look with buildings and parking all around and whatever. And I think that the business community and the city of Des Moines over the last 20 plus years has come together and rethought what downtown ought to be, that we're really the heart of Iowa, and it should be a great place to live, a great place to work. And the capital's here. There's so much good going on. And here was an area that had fallen into sort of a sad situation and become a Superfund site, at least part of it. And as people rethought, well, what could happen? we saw the investment in the strategic thinking that took place between the city itself and the business community as they rethought what downtown ought to be, and the whole live, work, play idea came to fruition. And we saw a huge spurt, not only in occupancy of, office buildings and businesses wanting to be in the heart of Iowa, but also people wanted to live downtown. So we went from 1,500 people living downtown, maybe 1,700 to 17,000. And the thinking here and the catalyst that this whole thing could drive in as we look at the downtown area with thousands of more opportunities and places to live, and to make downtown more exciting, more inviting, I think is a very interesting and exciting opportunity. And I'm hopeful that the state and Iowa Economic Development take a look at this and say, wow, this is what Iowa is. And certainly there's other projects around the state, but these two are both catalytic for great things to happen. So Naomi, thanks for all of your work, and to our folks out at Merle, hey, thanks for yours, and Kyle, you and your group. Let's all continue to think together and work together. Scott, unless there's anything else, I'm going to kick it over to you, and let's move forward.
Thank you, Mayor. That actually concludes the agenda for this morning. So great summary to these two projects. That's all we have for this morning.
All right. Does anybody have any final questions or comments? Liz or Kyle, you want to make any closing statements?
Thank you, Mayor. We're just very grateful to the efforts of Naomi and everyone on the economic development staff, Aaron and Carrie Cruz, and we're grateful to the City Council for their support.
Same on the Bucs side. It's been a pleasure working with everybody, and we're very excited to have a future new home.
Yeah, this is Kyle, and I think certainly thank you, Mayor, thanks to all the council, and certainly thanks to the staff. I think, Aaron, Naomi, Matt specifically were fantastic for us in the process. So it's a lot of work to do this for everybody. And we're excited about the opportunity to be in front of you, and thank you for your support of this and, the opportunity to transform that DICO site. So, I've been in Des Moines 33 years. It's been a 33-year problem plus, and we're excited to be part of this solution, excited to bring professional soccer downtown Des Moines, central Iowa. So we appreciate you supporting us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And thanks everybody for coming in and listening to this exciting vision and future for the heart of Iowa. And with that, let's call this meeting adjourned, and we'll see you all tonight. City Council.